Stephen Paddock's girlfriend Marilou Danley, 62, who was in the Philippines at the time of the shooting, was met by FBI agents at the airport in Los Angeles late Tuesday night, according to a law enforcement official. The official wasn't authorized to publicly discuss the matter and spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity. Sheriff Joseph Lombardo, who has called Danley a person of interest in the attack, said that we anticipate some information from her shortly, and said he is absolutely confident authorities will find out what set off Paddock, a 64-year-old high-stakes gambler and retired accountant who killed himself before police stormed his 32nd floor room. Danley first arrived in the Philippines on September 15, according to immigration documents there. She departed on September 22, then returned 3 days later on a flight from Hong Kong. She was traveling on an Australian passport. Philippines Immigration Bureau spokeswoman Antoinette Mangrobang said authorities there had been working with U.S. officials. From the very beginning, we have been providing them necessary information that would aid their investigation, Mangrobang said. Paddock transferred $100,000 to the Philippines in the days before the shooting, a U.S. official briefed by law enforcement but not authorized to speak publicly because of the continuing investigation, told the Associated Press on condition of anonymity. Investigators are still trying to trace that money and also looking into at least a dozen financial reports over the past several weeks that said Paddock gambled more than $10,000 per day, the official said. As for what may have set Paddock off, retired FBI profiler Jim Clemente speculated that there was some sort of major trigger in his life, a great loss, a breakup, or maybe he just found out he has a terminal disease. Clemente said a psychological autopsy may be necessary to try to establish the motive. If the suicide didn't destroy Paddock's brain, experts may even find a neurological disorder or malformation, he said. He said there could be a genetic component to the slaughter. Paddock's father was a bank robber who was on the FBI's most wanted list in the 1960s and was diagnosed a psychopath. The genetics load the gun, personality and psychology aim at, and experiences pull the trigger, typically, Clemente said. Paddock had a business degree from Cal State Northridge. In the 1970s and 80s, he worked as a mail carrier and an IRS agent and held down a job in an auditing division of the Defense Department, according to the government. He later worked for a defense contractor. He had no known criminal record, and public records showed no signs of financial troubles. Nevada's Gaming Control Board said it will pass along records compiled on Paddock and his girlfriend to investigators. His brother, Eric Paddock, said he was at a loss to explain the massacre. No affiliation, no religion, no politics. He never cared about any of that stuff, he said outside his Florida home. Lombardo said the investigation is proceeding cautiously in case criminal charges are warranted against someone else. This investigation is not ended with the demise of Mr. Paddock, the sheriff said. Did this person get radicalized unbeknownst to us? And we want to identify that source. On Wednesday, President Donald Trump is set to arrive in Las Vegas to meet with public officials, first responders, and some of the 527 people injured in the attack. At least 45 patients at 2 hospitals remained in critical condition. All but 3 of the dead had been identified by Tuesday afternoon, Lombardo said. Some investigators turned their focus Tuesday from the shooter's perch to the festival grounds where his victims fell. A dozen investigators, most in FBI jackets and all wearing blue booties to avoid contaminating the scene, documented evidence at the site where gunfire rained down and country music gave way to screams of pain and terror. Shoes, baby strollers, chairs, sunglasses, purses. The whole field was just littered with things, said Nevada Attorney General Adam Laxalt after touring the site Monday. There were bloodstains everywhere. While Paddock's motive has proved elusive, investigators have found no shortage of evidence of how Paddock carried out the elaborate attack. Authorities released police body camera video that showed the chaos of the attack as officers tried to figure out the location of the shooter and shuttle people to safety. Amid sirens and volleys of gunfire, people yelled, "They're shooting right at us," while officers shouted, "Go that way." Clark County Undersheriff Kevin McMahill said the shooting spanned between 9 and 11 minutes. The cameras Paddock set up at the Mandalay Bay Hotel Casino were part of his extensive preparations that included stockpiling nearly 24 guns in his room before opening fire on the concert below. McMahill said the cameras included 1 in the peephole and 2 in the hallway. "I anticipate he was looking for anybody coming to take him into custody," Lombardo said.